Welcome back to the Westmoreland Sports Network for our Recruiting Thursday feature, brought to you by our friends at Sendell Volkswagen in Greensburg. We would love to meet you. Jack Ridenour here with you, and today we are joined by current Hempfield Area football player and recent Harvard football commit Brock Heisler. Brock, first off, my friend, thanks so much for taking a little time, and obviously a huge congratulations on the commitment. How does it feel to have this out of the way, settled and decided, and you can enjoy your final year at Hempfield?
Oh, it feels great. I mean, I'm just, kind of glad it's over, but, sometimes it could be a little stressful, especially going into senior year. So I'm just glad it's over with. Now I can just focus on the season and everything. It's kind of like a weight lifted off my shoulders. So it's sweet.
Absolutely. Yeah, one less thing to worry about, which I'm sure you're very
For sure.
happy about. But
Yeah.
I want to get into that commitment to Harvard. What was it about the school, the program, obviously the Ivy League? I'm sure that has a lot of draw to it, but going
For
to an
sure.
Ivy League school, had that been something you wanted to pursue all along?
I feel like it was always up there. Like it definitely helps having my sister. Like she's already experienced it and everything. So I know about like my first few offers were Ivy League. So from the start, I feel like I wasn't set on it necessarily, but I was definitely knew the benefits of it and everything. And I felt like it was a great spot from the start. But I was blessed to have so many opportunities in so many different places as well. But I feel like it came down to just the fit. You know, I visited there a few times. It was great. I felt like I fit in the most there, and the coaching staff was awesome. I felt like a bond between those guys. They're just genuinely good dudes. The players I met up there were great. So I feel like that's what it came down to. Just the fit. I love the area as well. So I wouldn't say I was set on Ivy. It has its benefits and it has a few negatives to it, but I feel like just the fit was the main thing for me.
Yeah, and you mentioned
So
the area. I mean, right there in Boston, a very cool.
Boston,
Yeah,
yeah,
great place to go to
it's
college.
sweet.
Yeah,
Yep, for sure,
absolutely. Well, no, I
for
think that
sure.
was it obviously checked a lot of boxes for you. Have you figured out what you're going to major in there? Is that kind of crossing
I
that
think I'm
bridge when
going.
you
I'm
get to
going
it?
for finance. So I feel like that's another thing. Like the connections, in Ivies is really good for finance, especially. So since I knew that's what my sister's going for as well, so she kind of let me know some of the connections that it brings, and as well as the coaching staff at Harvard. They even helped me like already get some mentorship set up with some Harvard alums. So having those connections and everything, and it being that great for my major, that was also played a pretty big role into it. So
Well, I know that you had a ton of offers on the table.
mhm.
If I read somewhere, I think it was upwards of 20. What were the final schools that were in that mix with Harvard when you were narrowing it down?
I'd say it was pretty much came down to WVU and Harvard, but like JMU was up there, Delaware. I think JMU, Delaware, Villanova was up there. So it was definitely a variety of schools, like some higher football, some a little bit of a mix, some higher academic schools. So I pretty much narrowed down my Ivy League choices to Harvard. I was pretty set on okay, if I go Ivy, if I take that route, I'm going to go to Harvard. So then I kind of I had that narrowed down, and I kind of got to the point. I'm like, okay, WVU is my second favorite, so it was kind of two like opposite schools. They're just different in so many ways. So I think after I took the West Virginia visit, and I realized like I didn't think it was for me necessarily. Like I feel like I fit in a little bit better at Harvard, so that's kind of what it came down to. I know my sister was pressuring me a little bit, but it was good. It was a hard decision, but I think I made the right choice.
Yeah, and you mentioned your sister, older sister Peyton, playing softball at Penn. So I'm curious, just what kind of advice did she have, not only for what it's like to be a student athlete at an Ivy League school, but just also the recruiting process, what it was like to go on these trips and have these coaches calling you and whatnot.
For sure. Like I think the softball is a little different. It's like weird because coaches don't contact them to like a certain date, like their junior year, and then she kind of got blown up. For me, it's like it kind of came on steadily, and it was like, and she committed like almost right away. Like she got her pen offer. I think she took it right away. So it was a little different for me because I was like taking all these different visits and stuff. It was a longer process, but she was there to support me, of course. But she really, was She loves Boston and everything, so and she loves the Ivy League. So having her there and her helping me out with, again, like I said, like the connections there, and making sure like she would let me know like no, the school isn't that difficult. Like you'll be fine. She has friends in different Ivy League schools, so having her to like reassure me that Ivy League's a great spot was helpful for sure because like going into it, I would never think I would end up at an Ivy League school. I didn't think, that would even be an opportunity. So having her there and, reassuring me that, it's, I would be fine at an Ivy League school, then it was nice having her for sure.
Yeah, and not to mention, Thanksgiving dinners, the sibling rivalry will be pretty interesting, I'm
Yeah.
guessing.
Yeah. Like, that's what I told her. I was like, I don't know if Penn plays Harvard in football. I don't know who she's rooting for. Probably Penn, she said, but depends. I don't know.
She could get one of those split jerseys, half Penn, half Harvard.
Yeah,
one of
my
those
mom
things.
should do that. That'd be sweet.
There you go. There's a project for Mrs. Heisler. I love it.
Oh, for sure.
But you mentioned about all the recruitment. At one, was there ever a point where it just got so overwhelming, or how are you kind of able to just stay very even keel when again you've got people hitting you up left and right, probably all throughout the day?
Yeah, so it was hectic. Like especially like it would be weekends would be calm. Like Monday morning, I was getting like texts from every single school, like coaches and stuff. Like throughout the week, it was busy. But like I think pretty early on in my like recruiting process, I told coaches sort of right away. Like I wouldn't say right away, but once I knew they weren't on the table, I told the coaches just I was upfront with them because I didn't want to waste their time. I know they have to get their own like they have to get their guys. So I feel like letting them know right away that hey, this isn't like a right fit for me, or I feel like I've already narrowed down my schools. Like that helps them out, helps me out. So I feel like when I started narrowing down the schools, it got a little less hectic. Especially the last couple months, I feel like really the only school is like I told most schools other than probably 4 or 5, so I wasn't as busy as it was at the start. So
yeah, no, it's I'm sure a good sign when you're able to kind of narrow it down and one less school you have to worry about.
For sure.
One less coach
it's like
you have to call.
just cross them off and you're kind of narrowing it down. Yeah, it was a good feeling for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, like mentioned earlier, now you can enjoy your final year at Hempfield and really focus on this season. With that decision being settled, what is kind of on the agenda for football right now? I know we're still kind of early in the summer. I'm sure you guys have fired up, but my other question is, has the heat lately had any effect with what you guys can do?
Oh, no, it hasn't had any effect on us. I mean, we practice in the morning, so it's like we're all morning operations. So I feel like, it hasn't been too bad for us. Towards the end of practice, on the turf, it gets a little hot. But no, I think it's going great so far. I'm really confident in the team this year. We're working hard. I love my class. A lot of us have been playing since sophomores or early on in our high school career. So I think we have a lot of like experience coming back and everything. So I'm excited.
And you guys, I feel, carry a lot of momentum from last year into this season with the strong finish that you guys had. How much confidence have you seen with this team? And like you mentioned, your class, some of the upperclassmen, knowing that, hey, we might not have started well last year, but finished strong, and you have a little bit, extra oomph going into the first week of the season.
For sure. I think like the expectation this year is to make playoffs. There's, not another expectation. Last year was kind of like we didn't know what it was going to be like going into 6A, especially I feel like last year we were short on like depth and some of our numbers and everything. So like going into the season, we didn't know what to expect. We were like just trying to win a few games, or like that's just kind of how the mentality was. I think the whole mood of the team has shifted. Now I think we have more confidence this year that we won a couple games last year. I think like I said, the expectation is playoffs. So we got to do what we got. I mean, I know like 6A isn't a huge conference, so we win some conference games and we're in playoffs. So that's the goal.
And you mentioned some of the depth issues last year. I know that your starting quarterback Dom Dietrich, there was questions of whether or not he was
for
going
sure.
To be able
like
to
in
play.
The summer, like our first game, we didn't have him. It was questionable. We had a lot of young guys playing. Like our offensive line, we had 3 sophomores starting that are all coming back. So I feel like we're like a little bit young. Like you said, Dom was out in the summer. So the confidence going into last season compared to this season, I feel like it's just different. So I feel like right now we're feeling pretty good about ourselves. So
Yeah, well, it's certainly a good time to start feeling good about yourselves with the season. Before you know it, it'll be week 0. It's going to be here very,
Yep,
very quickly. But Brock, it's
for
been
sure.
great to have you on today. Before we
Oh,
let
thank
you
you so
run,
much.
absolutely, man. Before we let you go, my last question for you is: I know that this is your last year at Hempfield. So, as you prepare for that next chapter in your journey in football, what type of legacy do you hope that you leave behind at Hempfield area?
Yeah, I think a lot of people say about changing the culture. Like, uh, I feel like Hempfield isn't really a winning football program just in the past. So I feel like having a big winning season, just changing the culture, showing people that it can be done. Um, and for those younger guys to see what it takes to win and everything, I think that's huge. I want to leave you know, a winning season on the program. So everything starts uh, going upward trend. That's I think our goal this year.
Absolutely. Well, definitely excited for week 0 when things fire up for you and the
Yep,
Spartans. And again, Brock, congratulations on the commitment.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
That's Harvard football commit Brock Heisler. Thanks so much for joining us for another edition of Recruiting Thursday, brought to you by our friends at Sendell Volkswagen in Greensburg. We would love to meet you. Make sure you check out our other Recruiting Thursday features that are available on our YouTube channel. And as always, this is Jack Ridenour signing off, never saying goodbye, just to see you later, right here and only on the Westmoreland Sports Network.